We want
I
to
think
know.
I find for the Trump stuff, I would just say most people just don't know the facts of anything that have happened.
Interesting how he says that. He's like, just people just don't know the facts. People are just ignorant, and I'm the only smart one here. Wow. Okay, Destiny. That's one way of saying it.
Or I think the examples that we were going through in that conversation were in schools. I think
Yes.
air conditioning and food availability are like two of like the easiest, most data-driven, helpful things to children in school. And that would be a thing that could help a little bit. But Ben's point, which is true, is that, well, this is going to fix the schools. And I was like, well, of course not, but it helps. Well, we need to fix like families or whatever, right? And I feel like anytime you...
Families or whatever, right? I like how he completely dismisses it. Interesting how he completely dismisses one of the most important things that could fix this entire issue.
Highest source of protein that you could get. They reproduce.
But what does that
very...
have to do with WAF?
I don't quite
I
know.
want you to eat bugs.
Yeah, I guess there's like Bill Gates and the WEF, and this is like some high level. I don't quite know. It's a way that you could feed the planet. The amount of waste that
Methane
goes
from cows.
exactly from cows or raising meat is so absurdly high. But you need that for certain vitamins and proteins, and you get the same thing with crickets for a fraction of the cost.
Exactly.
You can grow crickets anywhere. They reproduce very quickly.
This guy has sold me. As long as you make it taste good, you've sold me. Hello, my name is Mr. WhyzGuy. Welcome to the Iced Coffee Hour. I guess they're like a little podcast. They had Destiny on, so wanted to do a little video on that. Guess we'll just get right into it.
Donald, aka Destiny, thank you so much for coming on the Iced Coffee Hour. You're one of the biggest streamers across all platforms. You've appeared on podcasts like PBD Podcast. You've debated Alex Jones.
PBD podcast is legit. Someone put me on PBD on the PBD podcast or Patrick Bat David podcast. It's a good podcast. Let's just say that it's a really good podcast.
Ben Shapiro, that was a recent debate that blew up. It's like 6 million views in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Peterson recently, that hasn't came out yet. We're going to talk about this. Fresh and Fit, whatever pod. You've debated basically everybody, which I admire a lot. Some people call you Ben Shapiro of the left because you talk.
I mean, yeah, he's Ben Shapiro of the left, except a little bit more emotional. But you know what? I guess if you're on the left, you kind of have to be a little bit more emotional and sympathetic to certain things. When you're on the right, it's kind of like they're more family oriented. So and when it comes to like other people and whether their families are doing well, if they're not friends of the family, well, are they really supposed to divert resources to you? Like if they don't know you? But Destiny's on the left, and his philosophy is more, we should be taking care of everyone, even if I don't know them. We should be treating everyone as if everyone's like their family. Like I feel like that's the way he portrays himself on the being on the left, I guess.
Talk very fast, and you're incredibly intelligent.
I also got some good old Monster. Just a side thing. I've never had this before. This tastes weird. But you know what? It's Monster, so it works.
By some people, you mean the title you put on my YouTube video, okay? I should have called him the Destiny of the Right.
Did you feel okay by that?
funny.
Was that all right
I
by
thought it
you?
was fun. That's fun.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on,
Yeah,
man.
really
Really
appreciate
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So the Ben Shapiro debate. This is, I feel like, what everyone's been talking about. It's high.
Also, we're going to be doing these in parts. So I'm not going to be watching the full 2 hours and 52 minutes, the full 3 hours of this entire video in one sitting. Maybe I might, maybe I won't. I don't know. But we're going to be doing doing these in parts. So you know what? Let's just see what happens.
Highly anticipated. We brought it up to you if you would debate Ben. You said yes. That clip went viral. We brought it up to Ben when we had him on if he would debate you. He said yes. That clip went viral. How did this all come about?
I'm kind of friendly with Lex, and I think I did a Jubilee show, and Jubilee asked me at the end, could you film like a call out to Ben Shapiro and maybe we could host it? Lex saw that, and Lex was like, hey, do you think I could get this debate? And I love Jubilee, but Lex is like the guy that would let me have a 2 to 3.
Also, the reason why I'm watching Destiny videos, and I'm sorry for pausing it so many times, but when I get thoughts, I gotta say it. Hence, Mr. WhyzGuy Thinks. Channel name. Let's go. Anyways, and I lost my train of thought. There we go. Nice. Perfect.
3-hour uninterrupted conversation. Jubilee will shoot 3 hours of content, and they cut it down to like 45 minutes. And I just feel like Lex's platform would have been really good for that. So I was like, well, if you think you can get the debate, then go for it. And then Lex did a bunch of work in the background, and he, got the debate.
Was that
And that's what happens when you make a bad joke. All right, let's keep going.
Hard to schedule with Ben?
Probably, but Lex set all of that
He
up. Not
facilitated
me,
all of it.
Yeah.
Were you nervous for the debate with Ben?
Not particularly, no.
How did you prepare for that? Did you just go in, or did they give you topics to talk about and you could research them?
I think it was going to be a pretty broad conversation. So we went over, it must have been like 10 topics in like 2 hours. And a lot of the Trump related stuff is more, I'm just kind of like curious because it's such an easy topic on my end and such an indefensible topic on their end. I'm just more curious like how.
Yeah, okay, Destiny. Yeah, he's just curious. It's such an indefensible topic on their end. Like, really? All right, Destiny. That's just your opinion. That is a very Let me see. How do I say it? The way he says it, Destiny usually is like, "Oh, that's such an unconvincing argument." Well, what he just said there is just so unconvincing. Like, he's just spouting out claims as if they're true or not, as if he's like true. And that's the thing that's kind of bugs me, but also I respect about Destiny. The conviction he has on just like little opinions that he may not even have, like he shows more conviction than he actually believes. So like, I don't know. It's just the way Destiny is. I feel like he's in a bubble and that's why he feels like that. But you know what? Destiny, you do your thing.
How are you going to try to navigate this particular thing?
Mm-hmm.
But I've been doing a lot of political stuff for the past like 4 to 6 months now, ever since I started Vyvanse and stopped talking to Red Pillar. So yeah, my brain has been pretty plugged in politically. So I felt like pretty okay to go on. I am.
Interesting you think that Trump stuff is indefensible.
Yeah,
on the right.
obviously. Yeah, of course. Yeah, easily.
Huh. Well,
like-
I just think that like half of the nation, well, not half, but a pretty, what is it?
Yeah. All like just basically half the nation is like just wrong, right? And Destiny just casually just says, "Yeah, yep." And that's just interesting. Like I feel that's why I feel like Destiny is just he has like very high convictions on things, and then I don't know. It just seems like he's just oh man, why is it so bright? All right, I guess we'll continue now.
40% approval rating for Trump.
I know that the conservative approval rating is always very, 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 very high. Yeah.
My general thought is that I feel like it's somewhat defensible if 40% of the general population is somewhat in support of something, but that's beside the point. We want to know.
I find for the Trump stuff, I would just say most people just don't know the facts of anything that have happened. So when you don't know the facts, you think that like, oh yeah, well, people are indicting him for no reason. Everybody hates him for no reason. People say he stole the election for no reason. They try to say there's an insurrection for no reason. But when you actually lay out all the facts, then it's like, okay, oof.
But if you go up against
Interesting you say that, but your parents still love the guy. And you're supposed to have all the facts. And I bet your parents watch your videos, Destiny, of all the stuff or research that you've been doing on Trump on your streams. So interesting how he says that. He's like, just people just don't know the facts. Yeah, people just don't know. People are just ignorant, and I'm the only smart one here. Like 50% of people, they're just ignorant. Wow. Okay, Destiny. That's one way of saying it.
it's Ben Shapiro, I mean, his whole thing is like facts. At least that's what he claims. So don't
Yeah,
you
but
think
the
that
thing
he would
is,
at least have a different
He
angle to attack
criticizes
it?
Trump a lot, though.
The
He
thing
does
is,
Yeah, Ben Shapiro literally is facts don't care about your feelings, but it's like, oh, most people just don't care, just don't know the facts. But somehow Ben Shapiro, the basically me, but on the right, has all the facts and still believes this nonsense. How does Destiny cope with that one?
Ben Shapiro took. This is the funny part: is that when you go to the people that know, their defenses start to look in.
What Destiny's gonna say? Well, I mean, Ben Shapiro makes a lot of money from the right, so he's just partisan, right? Right? Okay, all right.
Wacky. So Ben Shapiro's defense of Trump was that he graves him on a big curve, so he gives him a lot of leeway, and that Trump would try to take over the government as a dictator, which he tried to do. But Ben feels like the guardrails are strong enough that he won't be able to do it, even if he tries a second time. So it's more of an admission than like most people will make.
I mean, Trump says a lot of things that he said he was going to do and doesn't do it. The one thing that that everyone really hoped that Trump wouldn't lie about, like the wall. Like Trump said he was going to do the wall. He did end up doing the wall. Like he really tried to get the wall up and running. He put a lot of measures with that thing and getting it really nice and sturdy. Hence why we didn't have so much, we didn't have such a big issue with illegal immigration during 2016 to 2020. Like that was it was a reason why that was a thing. But like Trump saying, "Oh, we're gonna lock up Hillary." Well, that didn't happen. Trump says a lot of things that he doesn't do, but all the things that we really wanted him to do, he ended up doing. That he said he was going to do, which is nice. It's good that the things that we didn't really care too much about didn't end up coming through, but the things that we actually really needed to like, that America really needed cared about, actually did go through, which was pretty nice. But I don't know, a lot of people just didn't like his tweets. So you know what? It's all right. Like, it's interesting. Like, Destiny would grade every single person exactly the same way. Like, that's just weird. Like the way that that's the way that Destiny said, like, let's go back 2 seconds.
He grades him on a big curve, so he gives him a lot of leeway, and that Trump would try to take over the government as a dictator.
He's talking about Ben. Ben would grade Trump on a giant curve. Well, he's exaggerating because I did watch the debate, and you know what? Maybe I should watch that one next. Yeah, that's the video that's going to come out next. We're going to watch the Destiny Ben Shapiro debate. Yeah, I'm going to write that down right here. Look at that. Got my notes right here. Yeah. Destiny Ben Shapiro debate. I'm going to be a little late on it, but it's all right.
Which he tried to do. But Ben feels like the guardrails are strong enough that he won't be able to do it even if he tries a second time. So it's more of an admission than like most people will make.
I mean, when did actually, let's go back 2 seconds.
Start to look, in my opinion, very wacky. So Ben Shapiro's defense of Trump was that he grades him.
Yes, your opinion. I don't care about your opinion, but spout it out anyways.
On a big curve, so he gives him a lot of leeway, and that Trump would try to take over.
That's an exaggeration, but hence it's his opinion. He can exaggerate his opinion exaggerates the truth a little bit. Like Ben Shapiro doesn't like. He doesn't treat Trump like he's like a little kid or anything. Like, he treats him as if he's an adult. He does his thing. But Trump tends to say things that he probably shouldn't say. If you were going to treat Trump exactly the same way as you treat every single other person, that would be really, really weird. That's weird. That's the thing that's weird about Destiny. I guess Destiny likes to treat everyone exactly the same all the time, every time. Which is like, you don't treat a 12-year-old the same way that you treat like a 30-year-old. Like, that's just weird. Come on now, Destiny. And then I guess Destiny would be, oh, so you treat Trump like he's a 12-year-old? No. I treat Trump like he's an 80-year-old billionaire, has a lot of weird tweets. That's how I treat him.
The government as a dictator, which he tried to do. But Ben feels like the guardrails are strong enough that he won't be able to do it even if he tries a second time. So it's more of an admission than like most people will make. I find that insane, but yeah.
Do you think Ben was the hardest debate you've ever had?
That's not insane. Treating someone slightly differently than what other people would treat him is perfectly fine. Destiny's just being Destiny, over exaggerating stuff. But this is his opinion. So unless you care about Destiny's opinion, I don't. That particular one, I don't really care for. You can keep it. That's him. And there's a reason why his family loves the man, and he talks all the trash about Trump, but still has yet to convince his parents that maybe you shouldn't like him. It's interesting how he's like super smart, but has yet to convince his own parents about that. It's very interesting, almost as if his opinion's not really that great.
Probably not, but not because it was a dumb debate or not because he didn't know anything, but just because it was just kind of like surface level and everything. We kind of like hit topics and then move to the next one on kind of a surface level way. So I'm sure if we had like a 2 or 3 hour conversation on like 1 or 2 topics, it would be far more challenging. Yeah.
Would you have preferred that to go deeper on each topic? Because I noticed it seems as though some of these topics are only like 10, 15 minutes long. They give you a few minutes, him a few minutes, another few minutes between both of you, and then it was on to the next.
There was a part where Ben was like, here, let me actually draw this out for you. And he looks for like a pen and a piece of paper to be able to draw this line curve of job production between like Joe Biden and Donald Trump. But then Lex was like, all right, we got to like take this back. We're getting a little too granular.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer that, but it's also like it's like a first conversation, so you have to buy a little bit of trust with the other person. I think it was a good conversation for a first conversation.
Are you going to have another one?
Hopefully. We'll see. There's nothing like planned right now, though. So.
What's different when you debate Ben versus somebody else?
Nothing. I try to take a similar approach to everybody in that, like, there's a dynamic approach depending on the person that I'm talking to, how radical or not radical they are, how reasonable or not reasonable they are, how much of a showman they are versus how much of a stick to the facts kind of person they are. So Ben,
Interesting how he says if they're reasonable or not reasonable. That's an opinionated thing that Destiny has. Basically, he's saying, well, I don't think he's reasonable, so therefore, like, what do you mean by reasonable? Like, that's interesting how he says that. But like, Destiny has like a lot of emotional backed arguments, or he slips in these little emotional caveats. Like I treat people, it's like dynamic. I treat them like he said a lot of facts, but then he added the reasonable part. I'm like, wait, what does reasonable mean? What do you mean by reasonable? What you think is reasonable isn't what Ben Shapiro would think is reasonable. Interesting how he grades people on that and has a little bit of a bias on there. So Ben Shapiro on the left, I don't know. He seems a little bit, he tends to put a lot of his own personal beliefs into things and then slip them in quietly. And no one really catches him on it because like it's the specific words that he says. Very semantical argument that I'm making, but you know, it's these little things that build up over time that you just got to notice about this guy.
Ben, I'll have like a unique approach to Ben, but it all stems out.
Oh, just to be clear, I do like Destiny. Destiny's cool, but I need to give him criticism when it needs to be given. 100%
dynamic approach I take to everybody.
The one thing that you mentioned in that debate that I did notice, and I noticed a lot of people doing this, is you would make a point and they would counter that point by not addressing the point, but saying, well, we shouldn't focus on this. We should focus on all these other things. Mm-hmm. How do you navigate something like that and get someone back to the point? It seems like a lot of times they'll avoid the point entirely.
Well, there are two different concepts you're talking about that sound similar, but they're totally different. In terms of policy, that was the one that I was focused on with Ben, and that I feel like sometimes conservatives will, I call it like the conservative merry-go-round, where anytime you want to address a thing, they want to address another thing, or if you want to make an incremental change somewhere, they'll say, we can't do that incremental change because it doesn't fix everything, so we should only focus on this. And that's
not true. During the debate, because I did watch it, I'm going to rewatch it again, then kind of upload and give more criticism, but basically, that's Destiny's take on it, but I think my take was basically like he'll bring up something and we should try to fix this, but then Ben would be like, well, sure, we could just add more money. Like say that we're not giving enough money to a school, right? This is not what exactly happened, but they did talk about this. Like say that we're not giving enough money to a school. Destiny would be like, maybe we should probably give them more money, right? I think Destiny would have like a better, more nuanced answer, but let's just make it simple for right now. Like Destiny would say, maybe we should give more money, and then it would fix things. What Ben would do is like, no, we should probably focus on the thing that has a much greater impact on whether things are going to get fixed or not. Adding more money, we already have like studies showing that just adding more money doesn't necessarily or really equal to better outcome. Like there's a lot of schools that don't have a lot of money that still output a lot of really good like classes and students and stuff like that. So Ben would be like, we shouldn't be focusing on the schools. We should be focusing on the parents, because that's the thing that's going to fix basically everything. Like you work with the parents first, you fix all that, and then we can go down the chain. But Destiny wants to just fix all the things down the chain first and not really hyper focus on the thing that has like the most like effect on the outcome, which is when we're talking about schools and stuff, we're talking about the families. So we should probably fix the family structure first before we start fixing schools, because if you don't have good parents, they're not going to send you to a good school. So we can fix the schools all we want, but if the parents are trash, well, the kid's going to end up, they're not going to end up going to that good school. So
it's very frustrating to me. So for instance, you might say,
yeah, it's very frustrating because you want to focus on the thing that doesn't actually like fix the problem long term. You just want to do something that you think you can actually like something that's feasible. It's easy to just give more money. It's hard to really address the underlying issue with the family structure and stuff like that.
Something like red flag laws for firearms, the ability to flag people and say, this guy's probably a danger, maybe we should do something about it. They'll say like, oh, well, that doesn't fix gang violence, so we shouldn't do this. It's like, okay. Or
interesting how he doesn't wait. Maybe he does. Maybe he brings it up now.
Or I think the examples that we were going through in that conversation were in schools.
Yes.
I think air conditioning and food availability are like two of like the easiest, most data-driven, helpful things to children in school.
Easiest.
And that would be a thing that could help a little bit, but Ben's point, which is true, is that, well, this is going to fix the schools. I'm like, well, of course not, but it helps. Well, we need to fix like families or whatever, right? And I feel like anytime you
families or whatever, right? I like how he completely dismisses it. Interesting how he completely dismisses one of the most important things that could fix this entire issue, or can have the most positive effect of fixing this entire issue, like air conditionings and food availability. What school is having an issue with having an issue with like AC and stuff like that? Also, if there's an issue with the AC, remote school, like what? Is that like such a hard thing to do? Remote, like where's the issues of that? Food availability. Maybe where I'm at, I don't have an issue. Like I don't have any anecdotal experience of like food not being available for schools. That's kind of like, if that's actually something that's going on in this country, then I would see why we would actually need that. Like, we kind of need food to be there. But at the same time, like if the parents know that there's an issue with the schools not having food, then the parents should like pack lunch for their kids and then bring them to school. He likes to focus on these easy things, but then like parents should probably be aware of this type of stuff. If their school kind of sucks and is not having a lot of food and there's not a good amount of food availability, then parents pack their kids some lunch. Like, is that like such a hard thing to like fix? Is that crazy to think? But like, he focused on these little tiny things that you can do and people are already doing them, and Ben's like, okay, that's good, that's great, but we should probably be focusing on the harder things that no one really wants to talk about or really try and fix. And that's the thing that's like the long-term issue that we need to like, that'll have the greatest amount of benefit that we'll have if we actually try and fix those, like the family issue. Like, everything's goes back to the family. The family is the big problem when it comes to whether your kid's going to be in jail or not. Like, it's actually kind of crazy.
Going to focus on like a particular problem or try to help in an incremental way. Conservatives will hop back one or two steps and go, well, it doesn't fix everything, so we need to do this radical society changing thing, like enforcing shotgun marriages, I think was his
that was
solution.
it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, this feels
Recommending shotgun marriage.
Yeah.
Wait, is that really like, if you have a kid out of wedlock and single parent households are the leading cause of the issue, is that really like a crazy thing? Like, if people know that you're going to be forced to get married if you end up having a kid with this person, well, a lot of people are going to be like, well, I guess we're not going to do that. Like, bro, like, that's such a radical thing. Like, it's such an easy fix. Just don't do it. If you're afraid that you're going to get, like, you're going to have to be married to this person, then the culture is going to change. The culture is going to be like, well, I don't want to get married to this person, so we're not going to do this. There we go. People are going to like stay away from doing this. And Desi's like, oh, that's such a radical bad thing. We probably shouldn't do that. Like, shotgun, like, that actually is a really good idea. I'm not going to lie. For enforcing shotgun marriages, if you end up having a kid with someone, then yeah, I think that's based. That's 100% based. Legit. Recommending. Like, I would recommend it too. Actually, honestly, I'll do a step further. I would like advocate for that, actually. Like, if people are going to want to do that, then that'll definitely fix the culture that we have now. We have a really bad culture with people just having kids accidentally. Let's just say that. And there's going to be a lot less accidental kids if we enforce shotgun marriages. 100%. And I think that's better for society if people aren't just accidentally having kids all the time. Like, that's better for society. Anyone that, like, legit, if you think that's not a good idea, like, throw it in the comments down below. Like, that's, I don't see how that's I think it's indefensible to have the opposite opinion on that. Like, you want people to just, oh, people should be free to do whatever they want. Well, sure. But I think when it comes to putting another life into existence, well, now you're screwing the kid that you end up having by doing that. And sure, you're free to do a lot of things, but there's a lot of things you probably shouldn't be forcing other human beings or potential human beings to be to live through or suffer through. So sure, you're free to do whatever you want, but then there's consequences for if you end up messing with another person or potential person. So yeah, that's my take on that.
Recommending it. But I will say that's different than in a debate when somebody won't ever address a point you're bringing up, which I don't think that.
So basically, shotgun marriage is based 100%. Ben Shapiro said that. I think it's legit. It'll fix our culture. We need to stop having accidental kids, and then those accidental kids growing up and being broken because they probably lived with one parent or no parents or get stuck in the foster care system. Like it's terrible.
Ben ever did that. I don't think he like avoided addressing a particular point. Yeah.
No,
what I thought was really interesting is it sounded honestly kind of like a therapy session of like two like a wife and a husband that have been together for a super long time and they're having struggles in the relationship. Like you would say, man, I just feel like conservatives always do this. They do the conservative merry-go-round and they don't attack the issues where they have the control. And then Ben was like, I feel like liberals always ignore the iceberg. They're just focused on the thing that's above the waterline when there's
exactly
a massive problem underneath it. And it was really funny, just like
exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, the reality is you have to come at it from both ends, but anytime you talk to somebody on the left or the right, they only want...
No. The reality isn't that you have to go on both ends. The reality is that you go from the top and you make your way all the way up to you go from the bottom of the iceberg where the big issue is, and then you work your way up. That's how you do it. You don't go from the, I guess ideally you go from the bottom and from the top at the exact same time and make sure, but like we already know what the top is. The top is simple. It's easy. It's right there. Everyone sees it. We don't need to put so much energy and focus onto the top. We need to put focus on energy on the thing that we can't see, the bottom of the iceberg. Gotta, like, I feel like that's, if we're going to focus on both the top and the bottom, well, yeah, the top is easy, but like we should primarily focusing on the bottom part, the core of the issue. So yeah, well, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much.
I want to address their end and then vent their frustrations about the other end, which is very frustrating. So anytime you try to bring somebody a little bit over to the middle where it's like, yeah, the family structure is incredibly important, obviously for a whole bunch of different predictive things in society, but also there's incremental changes you can make in schools too. We can do both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both, but...
I mean, yes, but we're already doing that. You're hyper fixating on we should be doing both. We should be doing both. We should be doing both. When have you ever said anything about the family structure? All you ever talk about is we should probably be doing all these little incremental changes. He says that we should be doing both, but he only ever talks about one side. So that's kind of rich coming from him.
We'll get really hung up on their particular thing. Yeah.
Who do you think won the debate?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't think it was like...
Obviously, Ben Shapiro. I'm kidding. There wasn't really a winner or loser on that. That was a good conversation. Not going to lie.
A huge debate. Like I think we kind of like bounced through topics. I don't think that we, resolutely concluded on a particular thing where it's like you're wrong about schools,
the Ben Shapiro debate,
wrong about Trump, or you're wrong about whatever. It was just kind of our different perspectives in terms of how we viewed those things.
What do you think Ben would say? Do you think he would say he won?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not sure.
I feel like people on the left would probably just say you won. People on the right would probably say you won.
True.
Maybe, yeah. Depends. Some people on the left will say I won because my points were better on like Trump or something. Or they'll say I lost because I needed to push him way harder on other things. And I'm sure there are people on the right that say, oh, Ben crushed him because he said the things that they agree with. And there might be some people on the right who's like, Ben didn't do as good because he should have crushed him on these points or whatever. Yeah.
You posted on Twitter yesterday that you finally dressed up for a podcast or interview. And it was a photo of you and Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
I want to know how that conversation went. Was it more of a debate or a conversation that's not released yet? Because it was just filmed yesterday. I'm assuming this is probably going to be released before that. Maybe we could get some teasers.
I actually don't know what happened with that. As of now, it still isn't out. So I don't know what to say to that.
I didn't expect him to stand up. We got into a physical fight. About 45 minutes in, which was crazy. It's hard to say who won exactly because no, I'm just kidding.
Based.
It was definitely, it went from like conversation to like debate to conversation to debate to conversation.
I really want to see that. I want to see that. I actually really want to see that.
The level of combativeness. He seems like he's somebody that's able to ratchet it up and then kind of like bring it back a little bit and not be completely unhinged. I'll say there was like a 30-minute section on climate change, which I wish I could have been more.
Damn.
I'm not ready for it to be a debate on climate change. Then it was like, okay, well, the WEF and they're trying to make us eat bugs and Bill Gates and billionaires and the global elite and the UN are all trying to do this. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. And then we did like a 30-minute thing on climate change. So, yeah.
Why does he go from pollution to the World Economic Forum and all these other places? Like, what is their involvement?
Remember, this is Destiny's take on his interview with Jordan Peterson. So take everything with a grain of salt what he's going to say now.
In that, why does he go from pollution to the World Economic Forum and all these other places? Like, what is their involvement in that? And what is he saying that they're doing that's negatively affecting society? I mean, I get the eating bugs thing.
Let's see how charitable Destiny's going to be with this one.
I've looked into this. It seems very interesting. It seems like crickets are a good source of protein.
Oh boy,
you could feed a lot of people. You disagree?
No, you're gonna get these people in your comment section now.
I feel like it's it's not controversial. It's like this seems like a fact.
I don't know about the crickets. Can you elaborate?
Crickets are like the highest source of protein that you could get. They reproduce.
What does that have to do with WEF?
I don't quite know.
I want you to eat bugs.
Yeah, I hear like Bill Gates and the WEF, and this is like some high level. I don't quite know. Is seeming to think that we should force people to eat bugs because it's
that way you'll own nothing.
Yeah.
No, because it's more efficient that way. If you can get your crickets, if you can get your protein very, very cheaply and easily from crickets, because like that's like super simple and easy to multiply, and it's very low maintenance, but you still get your protein. I mean, it's like the most efficient way to consume to live. But like, who wants to live in the most efficient way possible? That's tragic. It's bland. It's boring. Like, sure, you're probably paying your monthly expenses is probably like maybe like $10, but like just to live, but being hyper efficient with everything that you do in consuming food and stuff like that. But still, that's crazy. That's that conspiracy theory. I mean, it's a fun conspiracy theory, and there's like a lot of like facts to back it up. Like there is a very interesting and compelling like argument for like why maybe we should probably be consuming crickets, because it's good protein. They're easy to manufacture. It's you're not killing cows for your meat. Like, by the way, I'm gonna eat hamburgers every single day. I'm not a vegetarian. I don't like, but that's what people on the left would be like. Like a vegan would be like, nah, it's terrible to slaughter animals for your meat. And I'm like, nah, that's based. They're not humans. I like beef. But like, I give the opposite argument, or I try to take my biases out of it when I say it. But like, I feel like I have to say it sometimes to like, so that people don't misunderstand that what my actual opinion is. Like, I do a good job at just showing the other side and giving their convictions. But like, that's not really my opinion, but that's what they would say. Destiny's not really good at that. He likes to put his own opinion in things a lot. He tries to make it seem like he's not, but like you hear the little words that he uses, like he throws out the buzzwords without actually explaining it, making it seem a lot more ridiculous than it actually is. Like, that's why I want to hear the Jordan Peterson thing. I'll make a video on that too. Yeah, when it comes out. It's not out yet.
And be happy.
Exactly, but it's a way that you could feed the planet. The amount of waste that
it's a way to feed the planet very efficiently, very cost effective.
Methane from cows.
Exactly, from cows or raising meat is so absurdly high, but you need that for certain vitamins and proteins, and you get the same thing with crickets for a fraction of the cost.
Exactly.
You can grow crickets anywhere. They reproduce very quickly. I guess
this guy has sold me. As long as you make it taste good, you've sold me.
this is the idea.
But we haven't tried this on.
What do you mean? Why are you shaking your head? Like, that's legit. What? Destiny's like, I guess Destiny's changing his mind. Like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Maybe the economic thing. Maybe the right wingers actually do have a point on that. Like, but it's legit. Like, why is this a bad idea? Come on now. As long as you make it taste good. If you make it taste good, we're set. Don't tell me what it is.
Large scale yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what if we
And
start
it's
having
eating
these
crickets.
crazy cricket colonies and they start gaining intelligence and then take over the human? We
could.
just don't know.
I don't know. I think
That's more conspiracy.
Hunger is probably crickets. It's probably insects.
I think people are going to say, like, come up with like a class problem. You know what I mean? With that, like, the people
Class
on the bottom are just
problem.
like, you know,
Eating crickets.
crickets.
But you don't
while
look
the
at
people
lobster.
on the top get like.
Look at lobster though. Lobster used to be like the cockroach of the sea. Lobster did not used to be the culinary luxury
so
that
crickets
it is
are
now.
going to be the
Maybe.
delicacy.
They could be. We don't know this. But lobster is now a delicacy, and beforehand it would be like, "Ew, you eat lobster? That's like for peasants." I'm saying a lot of things have changed.
Interesting.
But what are your thoughts on that?
this is where I'm at right now for political stuff. I think that it's probably true for everything actually. But
I don't like seafood. That's my seafood take.
you know how you might have like 10 or 15 different beliefs. You might think a thing about climate change. You might think a thing about vaccines. You might think a thing about the presidency. I think people like to have this idea that they have rational justifications for all of their different beliefs. But I think what actually happens is I think there's like constellations of belief systems, and I think you just inherit these from whatever social group you're in. And when you go into that social group and you inherit the constellation of beliefs,
Destiny's projecting hardcore, but let's keep going.
all of these beliefs kind of sort of implicitly rest on every other belief, and it's not really changeable because if you pull out like one thing, it's like a Jenga tower, it all collapses. So when you talk
Well, yes, true, but you know what? True, 100%.
to somebody, unfortunately, today,
I had to think about it for a second.
subject, because of how homogenous and how huge these like political groups have gotten, I think you can make a lot of predictions about things that they believe about other things, and it all just kind of goes together. So if I ask you, for instance, about
Yeah, we could do the same thing with you. Like, you have you're on the left. Your parents hyper conservative. They love Trump, and you used to be a libertarian, so that says a lot about him. Now he's on the left. I'm guessing he has a lot of progressive views, but he likes freedom. So anything, like, he would love the Constitution because, like, freedom of speech, freedom of, like, he loves America 100% because he likes the freedom to do what he wants. It's just that his morals are just not aligned with, like, that, like, freedom, like, to the max. Like, people on the right, they like their freedom, but they like their own freedom to do what they want to do. Destiny is the exact same thing, but Destiny's morals are basically the opposite of people on the right, and that's why he's on the left. He's perfectly fine with like open relationships. He was in an open relationship for like 5 years. He recently got divorced, but so that didn't really go too well. But he's going through. He's good. He's nice. He's gotten out of it. He's actually kind of relieved that he's not in that relationship anymore. Interesting. Destiny, yeah, he does his things. But yeah, let's see what he's going to say next.
what do you think about Andrew Tate? If you think that in Romania, if you think that the charges are trumped up and it's not fair what they're doing to Andrew Tate, you probably also believe that the WF is trying to control your life. You probably also think the UN is like a corrupt organization.
Not necessarily, but I guess he can project.
You probably think that we should support Russia over Ukraine in the war. You probably support Donald Trump. You probably think the mRNA vaccines were rushed and are.
Wait, if you support Trump, you think that Trump made those things. If you support Trump, we're gonna, like, people that support Trump just didn't like what Trump did. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's just obvious. That's logically makes sense. No, if people supported Trump when he did the super fast rDNA thing, and people would love the, like, what was it called again? Warp speed. Trump made warp speed for the vaccines. Then the vaccines came out 2 days after the election when Trump lost. That's funny. But people would be for that because Trump did that. Trump literally got the companies like working on that really quick. 6 months, came out really quickly. So Trump supporters should be in support of the vaccines, which I think they were. And then there was like a sudden flip, and then everyone just like flipped on it. As soon as Biden came into it, like, people were like, nah, no more. Damn, I had a thought.
Think that the charges are trumped up and it's not fair what they're doing to Andrew Tate. You probably also believe that the WF is trying to control your life. You probably also think the UN is like a corrupt organization. You probably think that we should support Russia over Ukraine in the war.
That's crazy. If you like Andrew Tate, you think Russia, you support Russia over Ukraine. That's crazy. I like how he slips all these things together. Like, this is like, he likes to go off facts and logic, but like what he's saying is just a big giant conspiracy theory. I don't care for Andrew Tate. There's a lot of people in the red pill space that likes Andrew Tate. I don't really care. I don't really listen to him. I mean, actually, I haven't listened to anything that he's posted. He's not the type of person I would like listen to. I like listening to Destiny, yeah. Ben Shapiro, he's pretty good too. But Tim Pool, yeah, Beanie Guy. I like the Beanie Guy. Beanie Guy's cool. He's I compared him, Destiny, to Tim a lot more than I say that Destiny's like the Ben Shapiro. But Mostly because I watch Tim way more than I watch Ben. But Ben's cool. Ben's cool. Tim's cool. Ben just came out with a cool video with Tom McDonald. Never knew who Tom McDonald was ever in my life until Ben Shapiro made that video, music video with him. It was pretty good. It's called Facts. You guys should watch it. It's great. I'm now a Tom McDonald fan from that. It's pretty good. I started listening to some of his other music, and Tom McDonald's kind of based. Not gonna lie, Tom McDonald is quite based, in my opinion. I like his stuff. You should go watch his stuff. It's good. It's great. He's 100% independent. No one's gonna sign him because he has controversial views. But you know what? I like his controversial views. They're fun. It's. I don't know. I like it. It's fun. It's great. I think he's super based. 100%. Tom McDonald. Go watch him.
You probably supported Donald Trump. You probably think the mRNA vaccines were rushed and are making us unhealthy. You probably there's like
Trump made the vaccines for Destiny to come to the conclusion that Trump supporters is not going to like the Trump made vaccines. That's just, I don't see how that's logically like. That's why I think Destiny's biased, because like he just made a logical fallacy right there. Like Trump made the vaccines. He loves the vaccines. He's the one that did warp speed. But Trump supporters don't like him. But Destiny would still say, well, Trump supporters love Trump for anything that he does, everything. Like they're just in a cult. And then, but that's not true. Like, how do you explain the vaccine issue that a lot of Trump supporters are just anti-vax now because of that? Like, oh, but you guys are still in a cult though. I'm like, what? Okay. All right, Destiny. Interesting.
You probably think like people are fake. There's like 20 different beliefs that like everybody inherits just on their social groups. And that's how I feel about, so when climate change comes up, well, obviously this is the ruling global elite billionaire class that's trying to force us to, they'll quote that one article, own nothing and be happy. So we're run our society. They all want to eat crickets. Yeah. Klaus Schwab. Oh, don't even get me started on it, right? It's always, it's always that.
You don't know anything about Klaus Schwab, but neither do I. But I like how he makes it seem like he knows what he's talking about.
Type of thing, I think, yeah.
That's really interesting. Chris Williamson brought this up when we collaborated.
Destiny doesn't know anything that's on the right. He just hears the buzzwords and he just says them like, oh, Klaus Schwab. Like, I hear the buzzwords too, but I'm not going to pretend that I actually know anything that they're talking about. Destiny doesn't know anything that they're talking about. He knows what Destiny knows right now is a lot of Israel-Palestine stuff, a little bit of the Trump January 6th stuff, because he did a lot of research on the January 6th committee. A biased source, but you know what? Destiny has a bias himself. He always says that, yeah, you may think it's biased, but that's what we have. Like, there's a lot of people doing that said things under oath, so therefore there's some validity to this. And any other information that comes out on the other side, Destiny's like, well, no, it's not true, obviously, so we're not going to listen to it. But yeah, that's Destiny's take on the January 6th stuff. He's going to listen to a biased source and pretend that he's actually super knowledgeable on stuff. But I mean, I guess he's super knowledgeable on like biased information. So yeah, he's knowledgeable, but yeah, it's his own opinion at that point.
Collaborated with him, but he said if he knows about 3 things about a person and their ideology, and then he can pinpoint every other ideology, he doesn't really respect them. He feels like they're looking at life through an ideological lens rather than as an independent thinker, which I kind of agree.
That's true.
I think Destiny's an independent thinker. I really do. 100%. I really do think Destiny's an independent thinker, because he's not like super, like he doesn't agree with every single thing that the left says. Like the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, self-defense, 100%. He knows that was self-defense. What else was he right on? Kyle Rittenhouse thing, completely. The Israel-Palestine thing, he's not super left on that either. He thinks the Palestinians have way more responsibility on like what's going on over there, and whether like he puts the onus on Palestinians, because like why would you expect Israel to act super good faith and just let them back in after what happened on October 7th? Like that is insane to me. For like, oh, we just like deleted a couple of your people and took them in, but like you should like not turn off our water and electricity. Like, I know we just did something super terrible to you, killed some of your people, but why can't you just like keep our water on and like keep our electricity on and just let us like go through like why do you have this blockade? It's insane. It's insane to like just think that Israel should just be the good faith people right here, right now, and just let's, yeah, you know what? You did just do all these terrible things. You could just come back in. We can give them, like, keep their water on. We October 7th, it's not that big of a deal, right? That's crazy. That is crazy. Like, I don't know anyone that, yeah, that's just crazy.
Bro, how dangerous is it when you notice yourself slipping into these, I guess, ideologies? And how do you prevent that?
So I wouldn't say I lose respect for people. I think it depends on the kind of person you are. I think there's something that's really, really important to keep in mind. There's a couple of important things. Is one, we live in worlds where you need some sort of like ideological congruency with the people around you, or else you can't survive, right? So for me, and you can probably find me saying this, I'll say things like similar to what Chris Williams says, like, I shouldn't be able to predict every single belief you have based on 2 tweets. That's pathetic, okay, in my opinion. But I'll say that. But then also, I'm not surrounded by a whole bunch of people that are kind of enforcing that ideological homogeneity. Like, what if it was the case that I've got really strong opinions about Israel-Palestine that are probably out of sync with a lot of younger people today? Well, if I was going to school and I was 21, would I want to make those opinions known? Like, what if that means losing half my friend group? And you can't lose half a friend group. You probably lose your whole friend group, because now people have to make choices on who to hang out with. And the decision for an individual...
People on the right are not concerned on whether they're going to be losing their friend group or not. Maybe people on the left, 100%, but like, I feel like he's just projecting because he's lost a lot of friends on the left for being, especially during the Israel-Palestine thing. He lost a lot of friend groups on the left for that one. And then his Kyle Rittenhouse take, he lost a lot of people on the left for that one. But like, people on the right, like, if people on the right leave the right, what friend groups are they going to be losing? People on the right don't really care about that type of stuff. So I feel like he's hardcore projecting, 100%.
In like a social group that requires some level of cohesion, that's going to be a really difficult decision to make. So I'm understanding of people that, you know, kind of have buy-ins to their social groups and need to believe certain things to maintain membership with those social groups. I'm sympathetic towards it.
That's why I don't got friends. I can have any opinion I want. Fight me.
The less sympathy happens when I'm talking to like YouTubers or political figures. I don't like partisan people or people that have a strict adherence to a particular ideology in the face of all other things and all other like data or evidence. So like, for instance, like, I don't think it's bad to support political figures. I think that's fine. But let's say tomorrow, the most 100% rigorous, factual, everything about this study, it was just true. You knew it was true if you read it. And it says that like socialism is the best way to organize society, okay? Personally, I'm a capitalist, but if that study came out, okay, well, fuck it.
If that study, we don't, bro, this is what I see. Like, this is such a bad faith take, because like, say if a study comes out saying that social, like, that's impossible. It's literally a 0% chance of that happening, because we have history. We literally have history of socialism working, and then lots and lots of death coming back. You can't go back in time and reverse those things from happening. That's why I'm like, it's a 0%, like a 0% possibility for a good faith study to come out, unless the study completely ignores history and is doing like using newer data instead of using what actually happened in the history, which was really bad and terrible. Like, that's why I'm like, he does this hypothetical, but this hypothetical isn't ever gonna like persuade in reality, because of the history that we have with attempted socialism, like countries in the back then, and a lot of them ended up like just going into mass death. Like, there was a lot of death for people trying to do socialism. There's another, I forget what type of system it was called. They didn't like literally call it socialism. It's like connected to like maybe I'm not 100% sure, but I think communism is close, very, very, like, socialism is like the social aspect, but communism is like very close to socialism, I think. Don't quote me on that. I think. But like, yeah.
I guess I'm a socialist. If it really is the best thing, that's fine.
But yeah, that like his hypothetical just doesn't have, like, that's kind of bad faith, because like his hypothetical will never come into reality. And usually when you do a hypothetical, you kind of, I mean, I guess he's just trying to make the point that like people just have a buy-in, like say if socialism come in, but like the only reason people wouldn't, like, even if that study would come out, and people would still disregard it because of the history. You can't go back in time and erase that history. Like there was a lot of death when people tried to do socialism. It's kind of a, I don't want to say it's a garbage analogy. Like he's making a good point, but he shouldn't use socialism. He should use like something else that's a little bit more feasible to like digest. Like socialism, you're never going to erase history. So 100%. Kind of bad faith on you, Destiny. So,
but if you take somebody who's really smart, in my opinion, Ben Shapiro is really smart, but he's a conservative pundit. There's no way that he can ever make any concessions towards that particular thing because his audience are all conservatives. He's going to lose his paycheck, his money, his business, all of his employees' livelihoods will be threatened. So when it comes
no, I mean, I guess you can feel that way, but like, I disagree.
to people that are partisan, I think that I'm sympathetic towards individuals, but when it comes to larger figures, I'm less sympathetic because I feel like you guys are getting paid big bucks to do this particular stuff. You should be a little bit more fearless when it comes to exploring kind of the edges of your ideology or pushing into other ideologies. And
that's really interesting. And I also want to be sure that everyone here knows I'm not quoting him directly when he says he loses respect for people when he can pinpoint all of their beliefs based off of 3.
You're just kind of
right. Yeah. You were saying that you don't think Ben would alter his opinion because he's motivated by profit to think a certain way.
Or there's a bit of audience capture there because he's like the conservative guy, right? Yeah.
He is the conservative guy. Yes. But even if facts came out that disproved everything he was saying and they are objective axiomatic facts, he would not change his opinion. I want to know if you think.
No, he would definitely change his opinion. Like if say that there was new information about the history of what actually happened with those countries that were like that, if there was new history data points that actually disproved like what people thought the history was, like if you were able to change the history with the study that would come out, I think that's when he would like change his mind. Obviously, he would have to change his mind on that point because then the history that he thought he knew wasn't correct, and now there's new information or retroactively like changing the past. Sure, like, but if that were to happen, then you would have to believe that eventually. Like you couldn't just kept talking about old data. You would have to use new data or new history. New history. That's just a weird thing. Retroactively changing the history to make your thing work just to prove that you're not a partisan hack. Like what? Retroactively changing history. I think the person that's retroactively changing history is the problem here, not the person making money because he believes that socialism is like kind of bad. Anyways, that's going to be part 1. Remember to like and subscribe and comment. It's great too. Thank you very much. And yeah, thanks for watching. This is part 1. We're only 17 minutes in and I have over an hour of content to edit. So bye-bye now.